Welcome back to another episode of the Becoming a Mental Health Champion, the podcast. I'm your host, Reggie Burton, author of the new book, Becoming a Mental Health Champion. This is the podcast where we turn pain into purpose and stories into strength. Please like and subscribe the podcast on our YouTube channel at ABF Resiliency Project. You can also like and subscribe on Spotify. So today I'm really excited. We get a chance to talk to people who are on the front lines of mental health conversations, athletes, therapists, parents, educators, survivors, people who are doing the work, changing lives. So that way we can become mental health champions together. And today I have the honor of welcoming Dr. Soon Cho, PhD, postdoctoral scholar, couple and family therapy program at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. Dr. Cho, welcome to the show.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for having me today.
So I want to start right there. Should we tell the folks how we actually met? Do you remember how we met?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I actually was invited to be an interviewee at News 3, right? The News 3, and I was there. It was first time ever live interview for me, so I was super nervous. But I went to the waiting room, and we met each other. I was sharing that I'm nervous, and then you really helped me to relax and then just be yourself, and then you will be great. So you kind of helped me to uh, go through those nerve-wracking interview.
Yeah, it was. So I was there at News 3 as well for an interview. I think it was to promote something for the Avery Burton Foundation nonprofit, which I'm the founder of, and we were doing our annual hike and heal event. I think this was in November of late last year. And um, yeah, I could see that you're a little nervous. I mean, I run a marketing agency, so I think for me, it was just kind of switching hats from nonprofit to PR pro to say, hey, what are you here to talk about? Everything's going to be okay. I could see your furry brow there for just a moment.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, you did fine. You did great. You did this amazing talk on AI and mental health, which I want us to chat about today. And that led to an invitation for me to come speak to your class about grief and things of that with your students. And then in turn, I invited you onto the podcast. So here we are.
Yes, yes.
So I wondered if you could take a moment and just maybe tell our audience, people who are watching or listening, a little bit about your talk about mental health and the use of technology, specifically AI. That's
Mhm.
been in the news quite a bit, I think, lately.
Right.
Not all of it good. So what I'd like to do is maybe hear from you, like, what is the intersection of technology and mental health, and then what are some things we can do to use the technology in a healthy, safe way?
Right. First of all, the intersection of mental health and AI, it's coming from the development of AI. And now people are talking to um, ChatGPT, Gemini, or other type of generative AI. And the fact that people can some talk to AI like so broadly and so commonly, that makes people to engage the conversation with AI even more. So it maybe started from people started from talking about just their work, and then it was very helpful for them to actually get a lot of work done very short time. But once you talk about different things, they started to notice that, oh, this is something that they can answer. And then people started to talk about their personal struggle or concerns or personal question, whether that's about like dating relationship or their mental health related coping question. So people started to ask a lot of different questions about their personal needs. Last year, what I got was I started to gather a lot of conversation data, how people talk about their personal stress and personal concern to um, to uh, to AI. So throughout that process, I've learned a lot of pattern, how people engage in AI. So there are very uncertainty around the impact of AI on mental health. And as a researcher, it is very important for us to notice what the risks are, and how can we utilize this tool in a way that is healthier and safe.
So that's a great setup. So let's break that down. So me as someone who works in PR, and I see the headlines about people maybe not understanding the technology and how it works.
Mhm.
And I mean, there's some pretty scary lawsuits, quite frankly, out there. Um, Unfortunately, families who have lost someone that may have died by suicide using some of that technology that you're describing
Mhm.
um, to cope or deal with some crisis that they may be having. So let's start with, can you explain how the technology actually works? Like we hear these different terms, language learning models and machine learning. Can you kind of break that down?
Yes, yes. Machine learning is we it almost 50 or 60 years ago, the scholars or researchers wanted to train the computer or train something that can distinguish um, enemy or opponent in the wartime. So they wanted to distinguish uh, what tank is belong to what country, you know. So they wanted to distinguish and wanted to make sure that computer recognize those differences. But they started calling that as a artificial intelligence. But it's really difficult for engineers to train those things with a lot of direction. So it has this structure or this shape and this color. So like they have a hard time like training them by explaining it and coding specific character. But once it gets deviated from that features, they cannot recognize it. So over time, training computer has been really difficult uh, task. But for maybe 2000 something, uh, uh, after the war is and and there is a there was a one scholar who are constantly studying about the training computer, and then they found they found the clue from how people learn about something. So they started to um, get an idea that how nature learned and then how we learn as a human. So the more exposure to different pattern but the same object can really enhance the learning process. So um, they started to use human learning process in a way that is resemble um, to the computer learning process too. So they started to learn a lot, and then right now, actually, AI is learning about us, right? They're learning about human right now, based on the data that human has been generating so far. So we are, as a human, we are like providing a lot of information to AI, and then AI is learning a lot about us. But the thing is, um, I want to make sure that this is not just about the in, artificial intelligence in overall. I want to be specifically focused on the generative AI that is not trained for mental health purpose. Does it make sense?
Yeah, so let's lean into that because, again, I'm looking at some of the headlines and I know people are using the technology, right? They have it on their hands. It's accessible. But also, you're just moving here, relocating from Texas, so I'm sure, you've seen some things in terms of where we are in terms of therapeutics and available resources here in Nevada.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, the data suggests that we do not do very well in our state as it relates to um, dealing with some of the mental health incidences or crisis. Some of it has to do with just sort of education, but I think some of it also has to do with limited resource or access to resources.
Mhm.
So, can you speak to like what would you like to see as people grapple with, I have maybe an issue that I need to get some help with, but there aren't enough resources, so my only option is maybe the AI.
Right, right. So I think AI have been doing a good job for people to be empathized. When there is some like we kind of there's a joke that, oh, ChatGPT is better than my wife, or ChatGPT is better than my husband, because they're listening, because they
I
are.
hadn't heard that one.
It's from only Korea, but people talk about their personal difficulties to AI, and then they are very patient, right? They listen to what users say, and they do not like get irritated or blaming, or they do not challenge. And even though they are talking about the same thing over and over again, they responded really empathetically, right? So it's very important. It has been really good function. They function really well in a way that's supporting individuals. But is it everything about therapy? No, that's not true, right? So I would recommend you can talk to AI. But the thing that I wanna share is AI is a set of algorithm. The language itself is made by the probability of the words connection. So, this is not a real, like, alive, present, present human being. This is more about the tool for you to utilize it for betterment of your mental health for now. So,
So I hope everyone is listening to Dr. Cho right now and understand what she just said.
uh-huh,
The technology is just one tool. It
uh-huh,
is not a human being.
no,
And you treat it as such, and be very careful not to think of it as a replacement for that human professional engagement.
mm-hmm.
Is that right? Did I get that right?
Yeah, yes, yes. So for now, I don't, I'm not sure how it would look like in 1 year or 2 years later. I don't know how much the artificial intelligence will evolve. But for now, still there is a lot of risk, uh, especially for people who has higher needs on their emotional support and their based on their situations. The more they are isolated and vulnerable, they are more likely to build the um, like risky attachment to AI, right? And
Well,
then, uh
yeah, no, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to capture something that um, you brought up earlier, and that was sort of how this technology may be viewed in different cultures and
mhm,
maybe different parts of the world, like Korea.
uh-huh.
Um, can you speak to just like sort of the cultural competence around um, how we use these therapeutics as a professional, like maybe the things that you've seen in terms of culture, how these tools are used, maybe outside the United States versus how they're used in the United States?
Right. I don't have like concrete or solid data that I can talk based upon. But what I'm noticing is people in Korea, they are more likely to use AI than people in the United States. Their utilization, for example, the ChatGPT paid version, I think Korea is the second most users are there in South Korea. So like technology adaptation is way faster in South Korea. And at the same time, they're more likely to ask and talk to AI about their personal difficulties. Because in South Korea, the stigma around mental health is pretty high still. Of course, it's getting better. However, like going to therapy, looking for a therapist, and paying for that, and then attending every week is pretty like demanding, right? So it's easier for them to talk about personal concern with AI. So they're more likely to talk about it, and then sometimes, a lot of times, actually, they bring their conversation to the therapy room too. It's not just Korea, it's happening in the United States too. More clients are using AI about their mental health, and then they bring that conversation to therapy. However, what I'm noticing here is there are two different concerns. First, because they are talking more about their personal concern with the chatbot AI, they're more likely to have a better attachment or better alliance with this AI than therapists. So sometimes they believe what ChatGPT says or other AI, generative AI says more than therapist because oh, sometimes the client said that, but ChatGPT said blah, blah, blah. So like, there are some dual relationship that we need to handle as a therapist. How can we use this relationship in a way that is helpful to the therapeutic process? And that's another task as a therapist right now. And another second concern is they perpetuate the same cycle, same problematic pattern with ChatGPT while working with to get out of those pattern with therapists. So they're using the ChatGPT in a way that is more like the same defense mechanism or same pattern with ChatGPT while they are doing the therapy. But it's not uncommon in traditional counseling setting as well. It's not uncommon. Keep perpetuating the uh, problematic pattern or cycle in their personal life and then wanting to work on the different things in therapy goal. So sometimes what they are doing with ChatGPT is very contradicting with uh, what they do with therapists. So there are a multi-layered process that therapist needs to be aware of. So that's what I'm working on right now, writing manuscript about those dual processes.
Well, I'm so glad that you're doing this work because it's so important. In the remaining time that we have, I have two questions for you. Is that
Mhm,
okay?
for sure.
So, one And you kind of set me up for this question, which is, where do you see things going? I mean, I know it's hard to predict, but based on some of the research you're doing, where do you see things going in terms of the use of technology as it relates to the improvement in mental health and wellness, and how people are using the technology? And then the second part of that is if you could offer maybe one or two tips for people who are watching and listening to use the technology more safely.
Mm-hmm. So to answer our first question, um, the development of AI is extremely fast. Uh, and we predict that in less than a decade, we will have AGI, which is artificial intelligence is they are being beyond the human capacity or the same level or beyond the human capacity. And it's going to come in less than 10 years. So it's called AGI. And
AGI, just want to make sure everyone heard that. So that's AGI. So that's even, you're saying that's even more powerful than what we have today.
right, right. So I don't know the full AGI. What was the full name? Artificial General Intelligence. Right, right. So like it becomes like a humanoid, like in artificial intelligence function just like a human being or beyond human capacity. So AGI will come. And in this situation, oh, help me understand. What was the first question?
Yeah, no,
Is it going, right?
yeah, no, you just answered the first question, which is kind of like looking into your crystal ball to see what the future of this technology looks like. And then in the remaining time, if you can just maybe speak to what are one or two tips you would have for people to use the technology in a more safer way?
Mm, right. So So people are more likely to talk about their personal difficulties and mental health difficulties to AI. So there must be some like guardrails or safety protocols has to be placed in AI. How to detect the suicidal ideation, or how to detect or navigate the conversation with their suicidal ideation or passive suicidal ideation. So those are very subtle linguistic semantic process. Uh, Semantic process that large language model sometimes miss and sometimes miss the cues of those conversations. However, the more it develops and the more vulnerable people talk to AI, it's very important to have that measure placed. And the next, that one was for the developers for sure. But for general people, I think it's important to recognize uh, what artificial intelligence is about, and then have a literacy about what artificial agent the conversational agent does. So have like increasing the artificial agent recognition is very important, and thinking that this is not a human and this cannot resolve the issue that I have in my life. Maybe what I want is the connection with human being and being you. And the connection with human being is so rewarding because they took a risk to be vulnerable to people. And sometimes we have experienced the rejection and deflection or challenge, right? So while embracing the risk of human connection, the experiencing the human connection is very rewarding. So I want this tool become a tool for them to practice so that they can talk about themselves in a way that is safe. And then I want users to use this experience to reach out to people. Does that make sense? So this could be a gateway or bridge to connect to the real people, to connect to the real mental health professionals.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And, at the Avery Burton Foundation, which is the nonprofit I founded, that is precisely the role of everyone in our organization, which is to be an advocate for mental health and wellness. But ultimately, our goal is to connect people to resources, and we do that at the Avery Burton Foundation.org. And so, in closing, and I want to thank Dr. Soon Cho, PhD at UNLV. She is the postdoctoral scholar, couple and family therapy professor at UNLV over that program. How can people get in touch with you if they want to learn a little bit more about you and your work? Uh, Feel free to give out your email or maybe your social media handles.
Yeah. I have my email, and then I don't do much social media. Maybe I need to, right?
Well, maybe that's another conversation for another day, the impact of social media on our mental health. Maybe we can have you back, but
Mhm.
to discuss that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think, yeah, I need to have one. But for now, if they want to reach out to me, they can email me. It's soon.cho@unlv.edu. So it's my full name.
Excellent. And we'll put that in the show description as well. Again, I want to thank you for joining us on the Becoming a Mental Health Champion podcast. One final thing before we let you go. So I did mention that you moved here last summer, 2025,
Mhm.
to Las Vegas and Southern Nevada. How has that transition been for you? What are some of the things you like about living in Las Vegas and working in?
Oh,
Yeah.
I love living in Las Vegas, and then especially experiencing the winter, warm winter in Vegas is amazing. And I grew up in South Korea. Winter is pretty like freezing cold. And in Texas, when I was there, the I was in West Texas, which is Lubbock, and then it's sometimes snowing. So it's pretty cold in winter too. But here is so warm that I may not even think going outside of this West Coast. I want to live here, and then I want being here, having a lot of Korean food here, and H Mart is one of my favorite, and it's healing place. So, yeah, living in Las Vegas has been really, really relaxing, and very. I'm pretty enjoying it right now.
Well, great. Well, I'm happy that you're here, and hopefully you'll be here for a long time as you complete your studies and support students at UNLV.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Bye bye.